Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and today I really wanted to talk about this perfect Instagram worthy snake plant. Just kidding. I want to talk about this snake plant and why this plant is one of my favorite plants that I own, despite the damage, despite the heartache that we have gone through together. And I want to talk about what not to do when it comes to snake plants because I've done it all. So on this channel, we talk plants. If you are interested in snake plants, stick around and let's talk what not to do. Okay, so as you saw, this snake plant has seen some days. I've had the snake plant for a little over a year. It is the first plant that I added to my collection, and it has been the plant that has kind of been my trial and error, learn as I go plant. And so I wanted to share some tips, and I'm not calling myself an expert, but tips on things that I did with this plant in the beginning that I no longer do and I would not advise you to do. So the first thing that I want to talk about is water. When I very first got this plant, I wanted a plant to care for. I wanted to water it. I wanted to look at it. I wanted to repot it. And because of that, I was greatly overwatering this plant. And the very first time that I repotted it, I pulled it out and this thing had like literally no roots. So because it was being overwatered, all of the roots were rotting off. And as I've grown and as I've learned this plant and as I've done my research, I've come to find out that one of the joys of having a snake plant is that it doesn't need much. So at this point, I water this plant maybe once a month, especially in the winter. It might be once every other month, and it seems like it's doing really well. The second thing that I've learned when it comes to water is how to water. So when I first got this, I was watering from the top like this in the shower or with the sprayer on the sink and getting all the leaves nice and wet and getting all the new growth nice and wet. And as the growth started coming in, I realized that there was rot on the leaves. And as I looked it up, I learned that snake plants don't like their leaves to be wet. So there's damage from that. You can see in the middle in this clip, it's pretty extensive damage. And that's never going to heal. So it's either I cut it off or I just let it be. But the way that I water now is I take a big tub and I'm bottom watering this. This allows the plant to take up as much water as it needs or as little water as it needs, and I'm not risking getting the cracks and crevices of the leaves wet. So less water, bottom water. Those are my two big tips when it comes to watering snake plants. The next thing that I learned kind of has to do with water, but I really wanted a huge plant, and I thought that if I had a huge pot, it would make the plant grow quicker. It would want to fill out that plant and be really big. That is actually not the case, especially for snake plants. They enjoy being tight in their pot. They enjoy their roots drying out. And if you have a larger pot, the roots are not able to do that. So I was potting up this plant when it was really little, and the roots were never having the ability to dry out. So what I've learned in terms of pot size, it wants to be snug. They say once the roots break your pot, literally break it open, that's when you know it's time to repot. So nice and snug in the pot. This one even is a little bit big for this, but it has nice drainage holes, and so it's not staying as wet. And like I said, I'm watering it every month, every other month, very little, really allowing those roots to dry out. putting a stake all the way down to the bottom of the pot and pulling it out to see if there's any moisture. And after it's completely dry, I'll wait another week to water it. So essentially, a big thing to know about snake plants is water is really, really important because it's not important. They are not going to die. They are storing the water in the leaves. They are not going to fall apart like some of our alocasias or calatheas if they don't get water on the exact perfect day. So back off the watering can, stop touching it, leave this little guy alone. The second thing that I wanted to talk about that I've learned in my time as a snake plant owner is about light. So a lot of people get snake plants because they are known as like no light or low light plants. They don't need bright indirect light. They don't need to be next to a window in order to survive. But the key word in that statement is survive. So if you have them in a low light, no light, bedroom, bathroom sort of situation, they will survive most likely, but they are not going to thrive. So when I first got this plant, it was away from the window and it wasn't growing quickly, but it also wasn't dying. And once I moved it closer to a window, it really started shooting up. I was getting much longer leaves, and I was also getting a lot of new little growth coming in. And so when summertime came, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put it outside. It's going to get all the light it wants. It's going to grow into a snake plant tree. That is not what happened. Actually, you can see, and I'll show you a little closer, that dry, burning, white kind of leaf look is from too much sun. So it got sun scorched in the sun. And so I would say that what I've learned is find a happy medium when it comes to snake plants. You can put them back 6-10 feet from a window. If they can see the sky, they are going to thrive. You can put them in bright indirect light next to a west-facing window, a north-facing window, and they're going to do great. They're going to be really happy. Or you can put them in your basement and they're going to survive. I would say avoid no light situations if you really want, to see growth and to see movement in your plant, and also avoid bright direct sunlight if that is not what your plant is used to. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of things that I've learned from owning a snake plant is about propagation. So you have this big, beautiful plant. You want to make more beautiful plants. There's a couple ways that you can do this. I had only known about the one, and that is taking your clean, sanitized shears and literally just cutting a leaf off and plopping it in some water or semi-hydro situation and waiting for roots to grow, and eventually new stalks will grow and you can plant this leaf into its own little pot and you will have a new plant. So that's what I did back in August, and it is now February and it is not even close to being done. So it does have roots. It does have a stalk growing. I'll show you that, talk a little bit about that. And it is fulfilling. It's taken a long time. And I did have a couple that rotted along with this one that has thrived. But another way that you can propagate is you can take this out of the pot, these new little sprouts that are growing off the side, you can just pop it off of the main mother plant and you can put it into a pot and it will be a new plant. It'll grow and it'll be a new little baby plant that'll eventually grow strong and healthy, just like the mother plant. So back in August, when I decided I wanted a baby snake plant, I did not think that I was going to be in February and still trying to make a baby snake plant. So once the weather warms up and it's repotting season, I think I might pull a couple of these small, here's another one, small little sprouts. That's not the word. Small little pieces off and put it into a pot and have a smaller snake plant so that I can enjoy it in different parts of my house. If you have any other things that you have learned from being a snake plant owner, please feel free to share those down below. We can only learn as we go and from doing research and from talking to each other. And we're gonna have some plants that look like this, and that's okay. This leaf is one of my favorite leaves. It's so beautiful. The green and the light green on it and the edging are so nice. And then I'm gonna have some leaves that look like this, that are perfect, that has grown probably 12 inches in the last 6 months. And that's okay. And I think that it's beneficial for us to remember that plant parenthood is not a perfect journey, that we're gonna make mistakes, that plants are gonna die, that leaves are gonna rot, and that for the most part, it's our fault. So let's just do better than we did yesterday, and let's learn from one another, and share your tips down below. Give this channel a subscription, and I will see you guys next time.